أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So we are starting with a new chapter, Al-Wahdatul Rabi'a. Al-Wahdatul Rabi'a, it means the fourth chapter. Al-Wahda, as I said, it can be translated as chapter or you can translate as unit. So I hope that you have reviewed all the previous chapters because from moving forward, things will be picking up a little bit. We will have a lot of readings and a new vocabs and as well as a lot of grammar rules. Okay. Now, so let's get started. So we have الدرس التاسع عشر. What is التاسع عشر? تسعة is 9. Remember the number 9 is تسعة. And the ninth is التاسع, something that we have studied in the previous lessons, right? So التاسع عشر is 19th, okay, 19th lesson. And the title, عنوان الدرس, the title of the lesson is أسرة بكر. أسرة بكر, the family of Bakr or Bakr's family. Most of the grammar rules that we have studied in the past lessons, I will not repeat them. Maybe I'll mention a few of the rules, but you have to know those rules from the previous lessons, right? For example, why am I putting kasra here and tanwin here and all these things? If you're confused, you have to look at the previous lessons. I'll mention as much as I can, okay? Because we have new rules to cover. جيد. So the first sentence we have Usratu Bakrin Saghiratun. Okay, Bakr's family is small. Saghir is small. We have Saghira because it is describing Usra. Okay, so Bakr's family is small. Okay, then we have تتكون من والد ووالدة وأخ وأخت. Okay, and we have a verb, new verb. It says تتكون. تتكون means, remember in the verb lesson we mentioned something about verbs. Remember we said when it starts with ya, for example, the verb we had yashrabu, okay, uh, yashrabu, and then we mentioned that this ya, it represents few things, right? It represents that it is a present tense verb, and it is also it is present tense, and it is also he, meaning third person singular. Okay, and we also mentioned if the verb starts with ta, right, it can mean, for example, if we say tashrabu, it can mean few things. It is still present tense, okay, and it can mean she, or it can mean you masculine. She or you masculine. Okay, which one it is, as we know with the language, with any language, things will be clear based on the context, right? So that's precisely what we have here is a present tense verb. We have tatakawwanu. So the first ta of this verb is your ta that is representing either she or you, something that we will find out which one it is. Okay, so what does it mean? Tatakawwanu. So yatakawwanu means to be consist of. Okay, so for example, you're talking about your room and you're saying that room is consist of the desk, the chair, and the table and things like that, right? So that is what tatakawwanu means. It means to be consist of. Okay, it has this kind of meaning. So let's see what it means here. Then it says min walidin. Walidin, I think we had this word before. Walid is father, okay? And walida with tamarbuta is mother, right? And we have kasra here. Why? Because we have a min, right? So we have a min, that's why we have to make the word and after that in genitive, meaning we have to put kasra. So we say min walidin. Okay. And why we have kasra in walidatin, the normal way you might think that because we have a mean, that's why we have kasra in both walidin and walidatin, right? In a sense, that's true, but more proper way the grammarian will explain this issue is that you have kasra in walidatin not because of mean. That's not why you have kasra. Rather, you have a kasra because of the word and. Wa is and. Okay, so when you have and, it will follow the ruling of the previous word. Okay, so basically you have this kasra because the previous word had a kasra. Okay, this walidatin has no clue about min. He doesn't have to know about min. Only thing he cares about what was before the wow, meaning what was before wa and. Okay, if it was fatha, you put a fatha. If it was kasra, you put a kasra. If it was dhamma, you put dhamma. Meaning its a role in a word hasn't changed. For example, if I say Muhammad came home, so of course Muhammad is the subject, right? And the home is object. Is very clear. But if you say Muhammad and Khalid came home, so what is Khalid? We understand Muhammad. What is Khalid? Khalid is also subject. Why? Because we are using and. After and, their role is exactly the same. Okay. So this is something, I'm giving you a little bit more extra information, but hopefully, inshallah, it will help you. Because, technically, a harful jar preposition can only affect the next word. It cannot affect the word after it. All right. So just keep that in mind. Same thing happening with wa akhin. So why are you getting akh with kasra? Is because of this one? No, it's because of this one. Okay, so now it's following the word before that. And same thing with wa ukhtin. Okay, now, so what does it say? So basically, let's see if we can explain this sentence here. It says تتكون من والد ووالدة وأخ وأخت. So it says it is consist of. So we can translate this one in few ways. We can say she consists of, or you can say you consist of. First, we have to know what is this pronoun is referring back to. Okay, from the context we know it's talking about usra. Okay, it says usra to bakrin saghira. So it is talking about usra, the family. And that's why it is saying about the family that the family is consist of father, a mother, a brother, and a sister. Okay, you understand? So because it's usra is feminine word, we have to use she. Okay, so we are not using the you form. Here's tatakawwanu doesn't mean that you consist of, it means she consists of. And of course, in English, we cannot say she, we have to say it for family. Okay, so it's clear? So we say the family is consist of, or we can say it is consist of father, mother, and brother and sister. جيد. So next it says يعمل الوالد مهندسا. يعمل الوالد مهندسا. So يعمل, what does يعمل mean? It means it has two meanings. It can mean do, meaning does some kind of action, or it can also mean work. Okay, it has both of these meanings. Okay, you're working, which means you're doing something, right? So, so here the context would be work. Okay, that would be better context because it's saying ya'malu al-walidu. So who is working? Remember, when we have a verb, we need to identify the doer. So here in this sentence, first thing you try to find if the sentence itself gives you the doer. If it does, then of course, your job is very easy. You just use that doer. So how do we find the doer? Doer, when I say doer, I'm talking about subject of the verb, right? So where is the subject of the verb, or how do we know which one is the subject of the verb? Remember, we talked about that we have to look for dhamma. Okay, dhamma indicates that this is the subject of the verb. And we have al-walidu, so which has the dhamma, so that means we know that it is the subject of the verb ya'malu. So that means the father is working, or you can say father works, it depends how we translate. Then we have the word muhandisan. Muhandis is engineer. Engineer. Okay, muhandis is engineer. Now, a few questions. So, why do we have fatha here? By the way, it's um, the way they wrote it, subhanallah, it's a little bit crazy. Okay, so you don't have this fatha here. You should be tanween of fatha, muhandisan. Okay, because it is indefinite. So, what? Why do we have uh, tanween of fatha here, or why do we have fatha? Remember what we studied before, that subject of the verb gets dhamma and the object of the verb gets what? Fatha. Remember when we said, I don't know, uh, let's use the same verb you're using. Yashrabu, yashrabu Muhammadun. Okay, so Muhammad is clearly doing the action because it has dhamma. What? Al-ma'a. Okay, so we have yashrabu Muhammadun al-ma'a. Yashrabu Muhammadun al-ma'a. So now it's clear that Muhammad is the one who's doing action because we have dhamma. And so what is he drinking? He's drinking the water. So object needs to get fatha. So this is clear from our previous lessons. Now, you might be tempted to think, so the muhandis here is clearly the object, right? You'll be right in a sense, but technically, I don't know if I should go a little bit more explaining what's going on here, because technically it is not the case. Because in order for something to be an object, the verb itself needs an object, right? What if the verb is, because the verb that needs an object, what do we call them? We call transitive verbs, right? For example, drinking is a transitive verb, right? So you say, I am drinking water, because you cannot just say, I'm drinking. I mean, people will ask you, you're drinking what? Right? You need to complete the sentence. But what if the verb is intransitive, meaning it doesn't need an object? For example, when you say sitting, for the verb sit, you don't need an object. You can say, I'm sitting. If you want to put something where you're sitting, then you cannot use as a direct object. You have to use preposition, right? You have to say, I'm sitting on the table. Okay. But when you say, I'm reading, the verb reading requires an object. You're reading what? You're reading book, magazines. Now, what about ya'malu, working? The way this verb works is pretty interesting. I think you will understand from the English language perspective as well. When you say, because what is it trying to say? The father, ya'malul walidu, the father is working, then it says muhandisan, engineer. So if you translate word for word, it says the father working, engineer. We understand what the sentence is trying to say, right? But it's something incomplete, or something is not quite right. What do you have to say? You have to say, my father is working as a doctor. That as comes to clarify the type of work your father is doing. Otherwise, the sentence is complete. My father works, that's fine. My father works, my mother works, or my mother doesn't work, my father works, or vice versa. Sentence clear. But people not clear what kind of work your father or your mother they do. So in order to clarify, you say, my mother works as a doctor. And this is precisely what it is doing. So this muhandisan, it is not your object, it's making it more clarifying or specifying the type of the action. In Arabic, it's also called specification. It has a name called tamyiz. Okay, so it doesn't call direct object, it doesn't call maful bihi. Right. So anyway, I'm giving a little bit more extra information. Whatever you understand from this is fine. If you think it's direct object, uh, that's okay for now, right? But these things, inshallah, keep in your mind as we learn more and more about grammars. These things will help you. Okay. Now, so the next sentence we have, wa ta'malul walidatu muallimatan. So again, same situation. Now you're describing, you're saying that your mother works. Okay, that's fine. So how does she works? You're using tamyiz. You're using specifying what type of work she does by saying muallimatan. And when you do this kind of specification, you have to put the word in fatha. Okay, do you understand? Now, inshallah, these things will come later. It's a little bit advanced topic, to be honest with you, but I'm just letting you know. If you say direct object, it is not quite technically accurate. It is tamyiz. At the end of the day, you have to know, you still have to put a fatha. Okay, so just remember, when you say use the word work, that I'm working, you want to say ana a'malu. Remember, here ya'malu is being used because it is masculine, right? Ta'amalu is being used, why? It's talking about feminine. So how do you say I'm working? You say ahamalu. Remember what I think I mentioned about this hamza. We haven't, studied properly these Arabic conjugations. Inshallah, some, I hope these things will come very soon. But a few of these things I mentioned, that ya means he, ta means you or she, and hamza a'malu would mean that I work. So you want to say I work as a doctor. So you have to say a'malu. What do you say? A'malu tabiban, tabiban, tabiban. Okay. Now, now this tabiban, why putting fatha? If you think it's because of direct object, that's fine. Okay, but I also give you a proper term for this. It's called tamyiz. Now, the next one we have ismul waladi sa'idun. The name of the son is Sa'id. Okay, very simple sentence. And we have wa ismul binti Zainabu. And the name of the daughter is Zainab. Now, you might be thinking why we have a tanween here and why we have a dhamma here. I think we mentioned before that every proper female noun is something called mamnu' min as-sarf, meaning they cannot take tanween. Okay, so Zainab is female proper noun, so it cannot take tanween. Any proper female name, Zainab, Amina, Aishatu, okay, uh, anything you can think of. Okay, that's clear. So this one side, that's not the case. It's a proper noun, that's which is fine, but it is not feminine proper noun. It is masculine proper noun. Okay. There's a lot of exception with these things. I don't want to give you more information to confuse you. Inshallah, when more rule comes, I'll explain. There are a lot of exceptions, and there are also a lot of rules behind this concept. Which word can get, which noun can get tanween, and which nouns cannot get tanween. And then we have yadrusu bakrun fi jamiati ummil qura. Okay, so yadrusu, I don't know if we studied this verb before. Yadrusu is he study, so to study. So who studies? So subject is here, so we don't have to say he studies. We can say Bakr studies in Jamia is university. University. So he studies in the university. Now what happens is here, the name of university is Ummul Qura. Okay, with the Dhamma, Umm Al Qura. But what happens here, we are using this phrase as an idafa. Okay, remember the idafa construction, right? We want to say the University of Al Qura. Okay, so when you say University of Al Qura, obviously the university, the first word cannot take tanween. So we have to say, instead of saying fi jami'atin. If I had said the Bakr studies in a university, which is fine, you can just say that he studies in a university, without specifying. So in that case, you would say what? Yadrusu Bakrun fi jami'atin. Okay, fi jami'atin. He studies in a university. But here, that's not what the book is saying. It's saying that he studies in the University of Al Qura. Okay, so that's why you cannot put tanween. You have to say fi jami'ati Al Qura. Now, why you have kasra here? Because believe it or not, this is another idafa. Okay, so this is another idafa. Basically, we have two idafa. So this word is taking two roles. It's taking the role of the second part of idafa. Remember when you say uh, ismu, which is the first part of idafa, okay, and the second part of idafa is what? it always takes kasra. You understand? The second part of idafa always takes kasra. So you say ismul binti. Same thing. This word is right now second part of this idafa. Jamiati ummi. Okay. At the same time, it is also the first part of the other idafa. Anyway, I don't think you have to go, that far right now. Whatever you can understand, alhamdulillah, that's good. Now, the last line we have here is wahua talibun, and he is a student. Okay, fi mustawa, it says fi mustawal awwal, fi mustawal awwal. Mustawa is level. It is level. Okay, so he is in the first. Awwal is first. Remember we had this word before. Awwal is first. So he's in the first level. Okay, he is in the first level. Basically meaning he's in the first semester or something like that, right? Now, okay, so there's more. So in the next page we have wa yata'allamu. Oh, sorry. Wa yata'allamu. Yata'allamu means to study. Okay, yata'allamu means to study. So yata'allamu and yadrusu, yadrusu, which we had the verb here, right? Okay, they kind of have the same meaning. One would be more like he is studying, another would be more like he is learning. But honestly, you can interchange them. There's no problem. Okay, both of them kind of means the same thing. So you can say yata'allamu sa'idun. So Sa'id is learning or studying what? Fi madrasati al-maliki Faisal. Okay, it would be Faisal. Okay, so again, we have idafas. Okay, remember what we said. Right now, the basic understanding of idafa, if you don't have the basic understanding of idafa, a lot of these things will be extremely difficult. So the previous lessons, we had tons of idafas all the time. So you have to be very comfortable with the basics. So we have madrasa til malik. By the way, why we have a kasra here? Because of the fee. Okay, but the issue is that we cannot have a tanwin because it is the part of the idafa. And the second part is kasra, just like I explained. So this is actually the name Al Malik Faisal, the King Faisal. Okay, this would be translated as King Faisal. Okay, so he's studying in the school of the King Faisal. This part is not idafa. This is, you can think of like an adjective. Why? Because Al Malik, as you can see, Al Malik is it has alif lam, because the first part of idafa cannot have alif lam. So what is it? It is something like adjective. You can think of adjective phrase. So the King Faisal. Okay. Anyway, so this is just a name. We don't have to go too much deep into the name. So basically, you say the school of King Faisal. Okay. So Saeed is studying in the school of King Faisal, or King Faisal school. But what type of school is this? Al-Ibtidaiyah. Al-Ibtidaiyah is primary. Primary. Basically, it is saying, again, it's if I explain to you, it is a little bit complicated because this is actually adjective of madrasa. So basically, it's saying primary school of King Faisal. Okay, so this primary, as you can see, it is describing the school. Okay, so anyway, this is a little bit honestly advanced here. You don't have to understand the whole thing, just understand what it's saying right now. Okay, just get used to this kind of structures and phrases, inshallah. Then by the time we start talking about in terms of grammar, things will be a lot easier. Now, so the Said is studying in the primary school of King Faisal. جيد. Then we have وهو تلميذ. Okay, tilmid is student, just like talib. Okay, talibun is also student, but the talib can it is more broader. Okay, it can be any student in terms of any age and any grade, any school. Okay, so it can be, for example, you're a student in university, you can say talib. You're just a normal, you know, student in Islamic science. That's why they call it talibul ilm. Okay, the student of the knowledge. It can be any student. But the tilmid, it is very specific to smaller grade student. Okay, like for example, primary school students, maybe middle school. Okay, so just keep that in mind. في in في الصف. صف is class. في الصف الرابع, in the fourth class. Remember the word is أربع. أربعة or أربعة is what is four, and الرابع is fourth. Okay, and remember this is an adjective, so you have to use the proper gender for the word it is describing. So what is it describing? It is describing a saf, so the fourth class, or here you can say the fourth grade. You know, the meaning would be fourth grade. Okay, so if this word was feminine, you would say الرابعة with ta marbuta. Now, and we have وتذهب زينب إلى روضة أو روضة الأطفال. روضة الأطفال. And the Zainab, she goes, okay, تذهب, we had this word before. She goes إلى to روضة. روضة by itself, it means garden. Okay, okay. And أطفال by itself, it is children, which is plural for طفل. طفلون. طفلون. Okay, so basically it is saying this phrase when they use Rawdatil Atfal, this is a pretty modern word. It means kindergarten. So it means kindergarten, if my spelling is right. Okay, so Rawdatil Atfal, it means kindergarten. So Zainab goes to kindergarten. Okay. Fi Sabahi, Sabah is morning. So in the morning, يذهب Sa'idun. Sa'id goes where? Ilal madrasati. Goes to the school. So in the morning, Sa'id goes to the school. Then we have yata'allamu. They keep on making this verb mistake. Yata'allamul qira'ata. So now we have the word after this verb. We have word with fatha. It cannot be the subject. It has to be the object. So yata'allamu al-qira'ata. What does it mean? Yata'allamu means he studies, okay, or he learns. Let's just stick with studies. He studies what? Al-qira'ata. Al-qira'a is reading. Okay. Remember the verb we had yaqra'u. We have the verb yaqra'u. As you can see, the word, the reading has same roots, right? Qira'ata. As you can see, so you have all of these things exist. So these are the cool things in Arabic language. You can create many different related words from one word. Inshallah, some of these things we'll study later. So here it's saying he is studying the reading, wal kitabata, and kitabata is writing. And again, this is also coming from the verb yaktubu. I don't know if we had this verb before. Yaktubu. As you can see, you have kaf, ta, and ba, and you have a kaf, ta, and ba. Okay. Now, again, let's see if you remember what I said. Why does the word al-kitaba have fatah here? Is it because it is object of the verb yata'allamu, that he's studying? Um, which is true, you know, it is the case, but the grammatically what we said is that it is actually getting fatha is just because it has waw. So this word doesn't have to know anything, it just copies whatever it has. The copies in terms of only what? Um, only the role, whether it's dhamma, fatha, or kasra. So it copies that role of the word from the previous one. So previous one had a fatha, so al-kitaba will also have a fatha. And then we have wal hisab, okay? And hisab is counting, okay, counting. Wal hisab. And again, we have We have a fatha. Why? Because wow, and this wow, this and is following what? Al qira'a. No, this wow is following al kitab. So what he's basically saying is that he studies reading, writing, and counting. Okay, he remember what we said. Every time you have a pronoun, you need to know where that pronoun goes back to. This pronoun goes back to Saeed. Okay, if we are reading, you will understand the context is very clear. And then we have wakadhalika. Wakadhalika. Remember, this word has a hidden alif here, so you cannot say kadhalika. You have to say kadhalika, just like the word dhalika. Okay, dhalika. You don't say dhalika, you say dhalika. So kadhalika, and the word kadhalika means like so, like, you know, uh, like so, something like that. Let's see how we can translate this word in the context. وكذلك الجغرافية. I'm pretty sure it sounds weird and it also sounds similar at the same time, right? Geography. What is geography? It is geography. Okay, geography. So that they basically Arabized that English word. So what can you say? So what does the kadhalika right now means? It means it is basically carrying out uh, the previous uh, things that he's studying. So he's studying the reading, writing, counting, and like so, meaning similarly. You can maybe here would be similarly would be better. What similarly? The geography. What tarikh is history. Okay. So similarly he's studying the geography, history, and wal ulum. Ulum is science. This word is actually plural, so you have to say sciences. And can you say sciences? Maybe not. I'll just write science because the singular is ilm. Ilmun. Ilmun is singular, which is a knowledge or science, and ulum is plural, sciences. I don't know if you can say sciences. What deen? Deen is religion, and here it says ad-din al-islami. Again, the same rule. You can just, because you have a wow, just keep on following that chain. Okay, and eventually it will go all the way to this verb. Now, so he's also studying Islamic religion. Okay, Islamic. Now, and the last sentence we have wafil masai. Masa is evening. Okay, so for example, we had the word as-sabah. As-sabah is morning. Okay, so it says fil masai, in the evening. Yahfadu. Yahfadu means what? We already know it's present tense. It's he is doing something. Yahfadu means to memorize. Memorize. Okay, so he's memorizing what? Al Qur'ana. He's memorizing the Quran. Al Kareem. Al Kareem is noble. So he's memorizing the noble Quran. And why do we have uh, fatha on the Al Kareem? There's no wow here. What's going on? That is our old rule, which is Al Kareem is adjective to Al Quran. So it's describing the Quran. So that's why it has to copy everything. It's the old rule. And then fil masjidi, in the masjid. Okay, so basically he's saying, and in the evening time, wa fil masai, in the evening time, yahfadu, he memorized yahfadu al-Quran al-Karima fil masjidi. So in the evening time, he memorized the novel Quran in the masjid. Okay, and I think we have last line here. So it is hadithun sharif, meaning a hadith. Sharif is the same thing as Kareem. Okay, it means noble. So it is a noble hadith. So it says طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم. Okay. So what is طلب? طلب, we see this word all the time. طالب. So what is طالب? طالب, we say student. Right. But believe it or not, this actual meaning of طالب is seeker. Okay, seeker, one who seeks something. Okay, you're seeking something. So when we just say seeker like that, generally it means that you're seeking knowledge. So which means what? It means you're a student. If you're learning, you're seeking knowledge, you're a student. So and we have here talab. So talab here it means seeking. Okay, so this is a verbal noun, seeking. Okay, it's there, as you can see, they're related. So it says seeking of al-ilm. I just explained to you what the ilm is. Remember, it says ulum is science, ilm is science of or knowledge. Okay, so seeking of the knowledge. Okay, knowledge is what is faridatun. Farida is obligations. Obligation. Okay, so seeking knowledge is obligation ala on kulli. Kull is what, all. So all Muslim, of course, right? So a few things, grammatical perspective, right? We have ala harful jar, and that's why we have a kasra here, kul, and the word the Muslim we have in kasra here because this is idafa. Remember, we are saying all of Muslim. Every time you have of, you have to think this is idafa. Okay. So what he's saying is that seeking knowledge is obligation on every, or actually, this is something maybe I should explain. The word kul means all. After kul, because in English we can say every Muslim, or we can say all Muslims. You see, you can say both ways. The meaning will be kind of the same, right? If I say the seeking knowledge is obligation on all Muslims, which is the same thing as saying seeking knowledge is obligation on every Muslim. One with the plural, one with the singular. So the one that we have here is one with the singular, because the word Muslim is singular. So here we have to actually say uh, every Muslim, every Muslim. But what if we had, instead of saying Muslimin with singular, if we had a plural like Muslimina, then we would have translated as all Muslims. Okay, just a little bit side information. Okay, so I think that was quite a good reading, Alhamdulillah. So as I mentioned to you, the units, the lessons will be a little bit more advanced, and I will also try to go a little bit more deeper into the language without going too much in details. But I will give you more extra information so that, inshallah, it will be beneficial. And if any of these things are very difficult for you, I would suggest that maybe you should go back to the previous lessons, and inshallah, things will be much easier. And the next thing we have al-kalimatul jadida, okay, the new words. These are basically all the words that we had here. I'll just quickly see if we have any new words. Remember, tatakawwanu, you should learn as yatakawwanu. Okay, you should learn as yatakawwanu, which means what? It is consist of. And then ta you add because of feminine word. Okay, so ulum is science. We know all of these things. Muallima. Muallima is the same thing as mudarris. Mudarrisun. So the difference between them is muallima usually right now are used for more for primary school teachers or maybe middle schools. Mudarris is a little bit more general. Okay. Al-ibtidaiya we said is primary. Rawda by itself is garden. Okay, garden. Islami, the word is Islam. Okay, but when you add ya, I think we had this ya before. Remember, we talked about nationality. We said Misr, Misri. When you add that ya with shadda, it's in Arabic, it's called nisba. Nisba means that you make that things in belong to something. So you bring that noun into kind of like an adjective. Okay. So instead of saying Islam, which is a noun, now you're saying Islami, which is Islamic. Okay. Islamic. علم we know the طالب explained كذلك it can be like um, similar similarly, okay, something like that. Walad is a boy, we know that. Bint, we know those. Muhandis, engineer. I think all of these things. Tadhab, again, you should learn with yadhab. Okay, yadhab. because that is the base case. Always the third person singular masculine word or the masculine verb is always the base case. Al-atfal is the plural for tifl, which I gave it to you, right? Tiflun. Al-hisab is counting. Yahfadhu, which is memorizing. Talab, talabun is seeking, right? Tilmid, I explained to you, it's a student, right? But smaller grade students, or student just one. Walid is father. Al Qura is just the name of the university. But if you want to break it down, then we have which is mother, right? Is mother, and then Qura is village, villages, uh, which is the plural for Qarya, Qarya, Kar, Qaryatun, which is a village, one village. Qura is the plural of Qarya. So basically, it means the mother of the villages. Okay, but this is a name of the university. Now, Al Malik is king. Okay. Uh-huh. Kitaba is writing, and Al Jughrafiya is geography, which I mentioned. Muslim, Farida is obligations. Safu, again, I don't know why they're adding. You don't have to study with Alif Lam. You know what to do with Alif Lam. If you don't put Alif Lam, then you study Safun, which is a, it can be class, it can be grade, it depends on the context. And Mustawa is level. Okay, Mustawa is the level. Okay, now these are okay. So inshallah, we'll end here, and the next lessons we will do the exercise. Okay, so with that, inshallah, I'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.